Hi, today I'll be talking a little about the history of video game mods, and how Skyrim specifically changed the culture around modding. Thanks. I can't talk about the early days of video game mods without talking about Doom. While modifying video games as a niche and somewhat nerdy hobby had existed before Doom, it was mostly contained to geeks wearing large glasses. It wasn't until the ultra-violent and ultra-popular first-person shooter had unleashed itself upon the gaming world that players first got a taste of a standardized modding format. This was made possible by the WAD file, which allowed players to quickly share levels between themselves. And with the help of some user-made tools to edit things like textures and level designs, the secrets of the Matrix were finally in the hands of the players. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the start of video game modding. In 1993, id Software released Doom. Riding high from, but a little technically frustrated with, Wolfenstein 3D, the developers of the game had the bright idea to separate the game engine data of their upcoming title from the game's other assets, such as graphics, audio, and level architecture. This modularity of game assets allowed for an unprecedented level of customization, igniting a small but devout community of people who modified video games. Modders for short. id Software's focus towards modding was also partially inspired by a popular Wolfenstein mod called Castle Smurfenstein, which replaced the Nazis in the game with Smurfs. Modding culture would then further progress with the release of Half-Life in 1998, which somewhat ironically was made with a heavily modified version of Quake's game engine, Quake Engine, which Valve simply referred to as Half-Life Engine.
Let's get the hell out of here.
Valve would later rebrand the engine as Gold Source, rectifying the atrocious name scheme. Anyway, Valve released their software development kit shortly after releasing Half-Life, giving players the tools to mod the game. And combined with the popularity of the game, Valve helped bring modding into the forefront of gaming culture as a whole. Half-Life would then go on to inspire numerous popular mods such as Counter-Strike and Day of Defeat, both of which went on to become full-blown games of their own. Valve would later release the Steam Workshop, where users could seamlessly download mods right into the library of games they never play. Overall, Valve has played a large part in boosting the popularity and accessibility of mods. But Valve ain't shit compared to Bethesda. Morrowind came out in 2002. I'll go ahead and set the scene for you. You come home from school, you turn on the TV, the War on Terror was in full effect, the Euro had just been invented. It was a weird time. But your older brother just came home with a new video game. He pops it in the PC and wow, look at those graphics. It's like you're really there in the dust-covered hellhole that is Morrowind. Morrowind was released with the adequately named Morrowind Construction Set, which gave users the tools to start breaking the game upon release. And break they did. Not long after release, many different mods were available, with some, such as Sword of the Parithia and Arctwind, even being total conversions of the base game. While Morrowind wasn't the first game to inspire total conversion style mods, it was undeniably the first popular RPG game to embrace modding to such a degree. Morrowind helped popularize the modern RPG genre and introduced the idea that players could themselves add to the established world of a game. No longer were gamers limited by silly things like stability and engine limitations. If you wanted to destroy Morrowind and build a Papa John's on top of it, now you could. After the success of Morrowind, Bethesda went to work on their fourth game in the Elder Scrolls series, Oblivion. Released in 2006, Oblivion was met with instant critical acclaim for its vibrant graphics, interesting world, and lastly but not leastly, its insane modding culture. While Morrowind was revolutionary in its ability to modify the game with its construction set, it was also somewhat limited in terms of scripting. The construction set had a simple programming language with a fixed set of instructions, so if a modder wanted to do anything that the game's native programming language didn't have a function for, such as changing the player's interface or animations, there was simply no way to do so. This is where Oblivion changed the game. Not long after release, fans began working on a way to sidestep the scripting limitations that Bethesda's tools had, and sure enough, a mere 4 months after Oblivion was released, OBSE was born. With the introduction of Oblivion Script Extender, modders were no longer restricted to the simple commands and limited customization of the construction set's language. You could write your own script and inject it into Oblivion's veins directly. This allowed for essentially unlimited modding potential. New animations, gameplay systems such as hunger and thirst, custom user interfaces, hell, even whole new games could now be made using Oblivion's engine. Not only was OBSE a more refined and advanced tool for modders, it also allowed them to optimize their code better, leading to faster load times and better mod performance. Overall, Oblivion was a monumental leap forward for the blossoming modding culture that Bethesda had cultivated. However, though Bethesda and its community had made massive strides for modding culture, there was still more room for growth. This would become apparent with the release of
This is a game.
Skyrim is undeniably one of the most popular video games of all time. It's no surprise then that the modding scene for Skyrim is large and bountiful, much like my uncle's Russian wife. With nearly 200,000 mods uploaded to Nexus Mods for Skyrim's various flavors, it's become a modern modding phenomenon. A phenomenon that Bethesda has only continued to cultivate with their various releases of the game, some of which were almost worth buying. But what kinds of mods are there? I'm so glad you asked. Basically, anything you can think of. While many of the mods uploaded for Skyrim are practical and do things like fix bugs or restore cut content, there are some that are just for fun, or for more nefarious purposes. With the release of Skyrim Script Extender, modders were once again able to add increased functionality to the scripting language of the game. This made way for some of the most popular mods for Skyrim. One such mod is SkyUI, which upgrades the more controller-centered interface that Skyrim came with by making it easier to use on PC. No more mousing through a weird radial menu, and just look at all those tabs. Another popular mod is Alternate Start, which allows you to skip the lengthy intro of the game and get right into bashing butts. After you select a backstory for your character, you're thrown directly into the world. No more speedrunning Helgen. So how did Skyrim change modding culture? With its easy-to-use construction set and massive popularity, Skyrim managed to rewrite the blueprint for RPGs. Skyrim showed people that modding could drastically increase the replayability and longevity of a game, and I would even argue that Skyrim made modding the norm for RPGs as a whole. Now, if you're a serious company looking to develop a AAA fantasy game, you almost have to include mod support. Otherwise, a game from 14 years ago will make you look bad, and no one wants that. But the true beauty of Skyrim is that you can make it whatever you want to be. Ultra challenging, ultra bizarre, or just about anything in between. Skyrim mods have you covered. The modding scene for the game has progressed so much that some players basically use Skyrim as a sandbox for their own projects. For example, Oblivion, a project that recreates the world of Cyrodiil as seen in Oblivion in Skyrim's game engine, in essence recreating the fourth game and the fifth one. But none of these projects would be possible without the dedication of the talented modding community that Skyrim has created. The same community that has tirelessly fixed bugs, created new content, and helped make Skyrim one of the most popular video games of all time. However, despite their success, Bethesda hasn't always had the players in mind when making decisions about modding. For instance, in 2015, Bethesda teamed up with Valve to introduce paid mod content through the Steam Workshop, an idea that was quickly and loudly shut down by the modding community. The backlash even included a petition that raised over 130,000 votes, with players demanding Valve and Bethesda remove paid mods from Steam. Modders had established a vibrant community of passion projects, with the large majority of them being completely free, so this was mostly seen as a cash grab by Valve and Bethesda. It also definitely didn't help that these companies were taking a collective 75% of the profit from the mods uploaded to the workshop, taking money right out of the hands of the poor starving mod creators. This money-hungry behavior was even mocked by some players who made mods to voice their frustration. For example, Gaben Trolls, a mod that added troll versions of Gabe Newell into the game with dollar signs over their eyes. After such strong backlash, Valve removed paid mod content from Steam only a week after release, stating, "We think this made us miss the mark pretty badly." But Bethesda couldn't stay away from that sweet mod revenue forever, and in 2017 they tested the waters once again with the Creation Club. This time, the idea was slightly less half-baked, with Bethesda commissioning mod creators to make official content for their online store. Regardless, reception of the Creation Club was largely negative upon release, with many players wondering once again why Bethesda would charge for content that had been free before. Many players also felt that the quality of mods didn't match the price, with some mods being very similar to content that was already available for free, and some paid mods lacking the same level of quality as their free counterparts. And after 4 years of the modding community largely rejecting Creation Club content, Bethesda threw their hands up and released the Anniversary Edition of Skyrim, including all Creation Club mods with the new version of the game. Ultimately, in 2023, the Creation Club would be reformed into the Verified Creator Program. In theory, this program allows mod creators to monetize their content and receive royalty from any sales. But in practice, the program has largely been criticized by the community as a way for Bethesda to once again try and make money from a community of people who believe that mods should be free. This disconnect between Bethesda and its modding community is nothing new, and despite the many people who love Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls series, there are fewer still who love both Bethesda as a company and Bethesda as a game developer. But it's the price we pay to hear Todd tell us sweet little lies. With the release of Oblivion Remastered, Bethesda has once again given modders a chance to tinker with their newest game. And despite the lack of official mod support, modders have wasted no time, releasing a script extender for the game just 2 days after release. And while most popular mods right now for Oblivion Remastered are practical, and do things like fix bugs, I can only imagine what horrible things modders will cook up in the future. Overall, the future of modding looks bright, and with Bethesda's devoted community to lead the way, RPG fans will likely be playing Skyrim for many years to come, especially if Bethesda keeps dragging their feet on the Elder Scrolls 6. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit some buttons if you liked the video, and as always, stay curious.